Okay, so today, good morning. We're just going to be continuing on with what we did yesterday with balancing. But the only difference today is that you have to go from the names to the formulas and then go ahead and balance your equation. So I typed in here so it'd be easier for you to see instead of me writing on here like I've done in the past. From this statement, so this is what you're going to be given is this statement right here. Okay, aluminum bromide reacts with potassium sulfate to produce potassium bromide and aluminum sulfate. And from that, you're going to have to get to this, okay, using what you know from section 7.1, where we learned how to write names from formulas. So, for example, aluminum bromide, to write that in this symbol ALBR3, remember that aluminum is a +3, bromide is a -1. You crisscross your charges, you get ALBR3. Okay. It reacts with potassium sulfate. Potassium is K plus, sulfate SO4 -2. So when you crisscross your charges there, you get K2SO4. Remember the produce or the yield or forms, that's going to be your arrow. Okay, that's going to be your yield sign. And your other two substances, potassium bromide, potassium's K plus, bromide Br minus, and so you get KBr. And aluminum sulfate, Al is a +3, sulfate's a -2. So when you crisscross those charges, you get Al2SO4, the quantity taken 3 times. So once you get to that, then you have to balance it, okay? But not until you get to the symbol equation. You can't balance a word equation. You have to balance a symbol equation, okay? You don't have to write these dashes, okay, before as you write those out, but that's where your coefficients are going to go. Remember, you can't change the formula of the compound. You can only put coefficients out front. That will dictate how many of each of those compounds that you have. Okay, so let's see if we can balance this. All right, so we have AlBr3. We have 3 BRs here. We have 3 there. K2, 2 Ks, 1 K, 3 SO4s, 3 SO4s, 2 ALs, 2 ALs. So let's start there. 2 ALs, 2 ALs. So if I put a 2 out front of here, I have 2 aluminum and 2 aluminum. Now, by putting this 2 out front here, that now gives me 2 BR3. So BR3, BR3, that is 6 BRs. So I'm going to have to put a 6 out in front of here, okay, in order to give me 6 BRs. That now gives me 6K, okay, 6 potassium. So in order to get 6K over here, because I already have K2, I'm going to have to put a 3 out front. Okay, so that gives me 3 K2s, which is 6 Ks. Now to wrap this up, I now have 2 ALs, so that's good. Now sulfate, since this is all together here, I can keep it together. Sometimes those polyatomic ions, you can keep them together because they don't break up from one side to the other. Sometimes they do break up, so then you have to count them individually. But I'm going to keep this together. We have 3 SO4s, and over here we have 3 SO4s, 6K, 6K. So this is balanced with a 2 here, a 3 here, a 6 there, and we don't need a coefficient out here. Okay? So again, the only difference from what we did yesterday was just from this word equation, you have to get it to symbols, then you balance the same way. Okay? Now let's do this last one. Phosphorus reacts with oxygen gas to form diphosphorus pentoxide. So phosphorus, that's just an element, that is just P. Okay? Now, one thing you have to remember when you have these elements that are diatomic, that you have to include that here. You just don't write O, you have to write O2. Remember, that's those H2, N2, O2, F2, Cl2, Br2, and I2. Those 7 are diatomic. So when it says reacts with oxygen gas, we have to include that as O2. Okay, to form diphosphorus pentoxide, remember this is a molecule, so you're just using your prefixes. Diphosphorus, 2 phosphorus. Pent is 5, O5. Okay, so P2O5. Now, if I were to balance this, I would probably balance it the same way you would. I would put a 2 here, Okay, then I'd say, okay, now my O's are 5 and 2. So I'm going to have to eventually go back and change that. The common number of oxygens with 5 and 2 will be 10. So I have to put a 5 out front here to give me 10 O's and a 2 out front here. Okay, so that gives me 10 O's here, 10 O's here. Now by putting that 2 here, now this is incorrect. So I have to go back and I have to erase that and go back and change it. Now I have 2 P2s, so that gives me 4 phosphorus. So it's 4P plus 5O2 yields 2P2O5. Okay, so today for your assignment, I'm just going to give you some of these word equations. You write them into symbols and then you balance.